A reading from the Gospel according to John, the 13th chapter, from the paraphrase called The Message. Just before the Passover feast, Jesus knew that the time had come for him to leave this world, to go to the Father. Having loved his dear companions, he continued to love them right to the end. It was supper time. The devil by now had Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot, firmly in his grip, all set for the betrayal. Jesus knew that the Father had put him in complete charge of everything, that he came from God and was on his way back to God. So he got up from the supper table, set aside his robe, and put on an apron. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the feet of the disciples, drying them with his apron. When he got to Simon Peter, Peter said, "Master, you wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You don't understand now what I'm doing, but it will be clear to you later." Peter persisted, "You're not going to wash my feet, ever." Jesus said, "If I don't wash you, you can't be part of what I'm doing." "Master," said Peter, "not only my feet then, wash my hands, wash my head." Jesus said, "If you've had a bath in the morning, you only need your feet washed now, and you're clean from head to toe. My concern, you understand, is holiness, not hygiene. So now you're clean, but not every one of you." He knew who was betraying him. That's why he said, "Not every one of you." And after he had finished washing their feet, he took his robe and put it back and went back to his place at the table. Then he said, "Do you understand what I have done to you? You address me as teacher and master, and rightly so. That is what I am. So if I, the master and teacher, washed your feet, you must now wash each other's feet. I've laid down a pattern for you. What I've done, you do. I'm only pointing out the obvious. A servant is not ranked above his master. An employee doesn't give orders to the employer. If you understand what I'm telling you, act like it and live a blessed life." When he had left, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is seen for who he is, and God seen for who he is. The moment God is seen in him, God's glory will be on display. In glorifying him, he himself is glorified, glory all around. Children, I am with you for only a short time longer. You're going to look high and low for me, but just as I told the Jews, I'm telling you, where I go, you are not now able to come. Let me give you a new command. Love one another. In the same way I loved you, you love one another. This is how everyone will recognize that you are my disciples, when they see the love you have for each other." The Gospel according to our Lord. It was almost 2 weeks ago on a Friday night. I stepped into the dining room and was aware I was one of about 6 waiting to pick up our orders, all standing at least 6 feet apart from one another. Yet the tables were all set, as if there were 80 people outside the front door just waiting for that door to open and come in and find their places. At each setting, at each table, a white napkin, a knife, a fork, a spoon, a bread plate with a bread knife, as if everything was ready for dinner. We watched, waiting for our orders, all the staff wearing face masks, many of them gloves, silently moving about so as not to touch each other. We waited for our names to be called, to take our orders and go home. And I wondered, why are those tables still set? What are they communicating? Are they trying to say, we're coming back? We know this period of crisis is going to end and we want you back? Were they saying to us, keep supporting us and soon you'll be seated at one of these tables as you were just several weeks ago? What were they communicating by having the table set when we could not sit at them and eat as normal? I ask these questions. I ask these questions about that Thursday night. How did they have this room ready for them? Was a table set? A Passover table? Was everything waiting for them to come and keep Passover? Or did they bring their portable Passover kit with them? Or did they place an order and expect to have it delivered to the front stoop? They met in a borrowed upper room. The week is well underway, this week we call Holy Week. This week that is the most spiritual of all 52 weeks of the year. This week unlike any other, every year, but in a heightened way this year of the coronavirus. And this week with so much spiritual meaning, so much emotional impact, is altogether physical. I'm amazed at how physical it is. It begins with branches spread on a pathway and Jesus riding a borrowed donkey. A parade. How physical. And then he goes the next day to the temple courts and upturns tables. And it proceeds. A cup, a piece of bread, a basin, and a towel in a borrowed upper room. And it continues. 30 coins, a cock crowing, a braided lash, a kangaroo court, a spike, and a cross. What had been a tree, now cut down and distorted in an unnatural way for a twisted purpose. A crown of thorns. Tears and weeping. A borrowed tomb. A disc-shaped stone to seal the tomb. An earthquake. A flash of light. Everything about this week, this most spiritual of all weeks, is so physical, so tangible, so tactile. And it's Thursday. And we're with him and them in an upper room. And he does two things that are so physical. He shares a supper with them, and he washes their feet. He takes bread and breaks it and offers it to them. He lifts a cup and shares it with them. He says these words, "My body given for you. My blood, the blood of the covenant, shed for you and for many for the remission of sins." So physical, so tangible. And then John notes, as the supper is underway, he interrupts it to wash their feet. How very physical to wash their feet. An act of Middle Eastern hospitality. A basin with water. an apron, a towel to wash their feet. And he says of the supper, now you keep doing this. And of the foot washing, he says, if you understand what I'm doing, then you do it. You keep doing it. Foot washing. Over the last 3 weeks, we've become well acquainted with the discipline of hand washing in a way that we hadn't before or for a long time. Washing our hands 10, no, 20, 25, 30 times a day on every occasion, washing our hands and being told to wash them for at least 20 seconds. It was suggested we sing Happy Birthday. I did that for a while and I tired of it. And then I began singing the first verse and chorus of Fanny Crosby's hymn, Blessed Assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. And this week, I switched to my favorite Passion hymn, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, on which the Prince of Glory died. My richest gain I count but loss, and pour contempt on all my pride. It's so physical what's happening this week, and so intensely spiritual and emotional and relational. Forbid it, Lord, that I should boast, save in the death of Christ my God. All the vain things that charm me most, I sacrifice them to his blood. It's so physical. Things, blood. See from his head, his hands, his feet. Sorrow and love flow mingled down. Did e'er such love and sorrow meet, or thorns compose so rich a crown? It's all meeting here this week. Everything. The one who is fully God and fully human. The one in whom heaven and earth come together. The one who is pure spirit and yet comes to us in flesh and blood and thereby sanctifies our physical being. And suffers, that in his suffering we will find wholeness. Were the whole realm of nature mine, that were an offering far too small. Love so amazing, so divine, demands my soul, my life, my all. We gather this Thursday night in an upper room with Jesus and his incredulous, fickle disciples. We are welcomed. A table is set, and we're invited to come, to eat, and to drink, and to allow the Master himself to wash our feet, and to hear him say, now, you've watched me do it. You do it. A new commandment, that you love one another. By this will people see that you are my disciples. Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday. And Saturday. All so very physical and so spiritual.